Hi, Lukas. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Ellie.
Good afternoon. It's great to have you with us today. Thank you again. To start, could you briefly tell us about your background and what you are currently building with Upsite Systems?
Of course, happy to, and thank you so much for having me today. So my name is Lukas Sieber. I'm based in New York. I'm still wearing two hats, one for the Swiss government and one is Upsite Systems, a company that I founded pretty much a year ago. I mean, my career always bridged two worlds. For more than 15 years, I've been working in foreign direct investment and foreign service, working with state governments, predominantly in Switzerland, and advising tech scale-ups and hyperscalers on European expansion projects. And on a parallel track, I have been co-founding a Swiss AI research foundation, Mindfire, in 2017, and have been leading the go-to-market in Europe as well as in the US for a Swiss fintech called ASAT Technologies. And the founding of Upsite Systems has basically been a direct consequence of both experiences trying to bring a more digital approach to foreign direct investment. And what we do is quite simple. We capture global growth, basically look at where companies actually have employees and where and how they grow.
Mm-hmm. That's a really interesting background. Building on that, how would you describe the business environment in Zurich today?
I mean, Zurich is a funny region, I would say. It definitely punches quite a bit above its size. It's a city of like 450,000 in terms of population. The Zurich region has a few million, but still compared to what we have here in the US or elsewhere in Europe, it's a very small city. I think what is exceptional about Zurich is the talent density. Local universities, namely the ETH Zurich, as well as University of Zurich, they produce a high number of world-class engineering talents. And of course, it helps that we have the presence of Google, Microsoft, Oracle, and these days also Anthropic, OpenAI, and other beautiful names. Of course, itself is quite a bit. However, lately, particularly in the last few years, beyond talent, I think what has become really key to Zurich is the predictability. It's stable. The regulatory frameworks are stable. It's transparent in terms of tax, and it's overall very business friendly, low friction, high quality. And given those attributes, it's quite honestly hard to find in today's world a place that offers an outlook that allows you to plan for 5 years, for 10 years. So I think this is probably a summary of why Zurich still keeps attracting world-class companies.
Thank you. Great way to frame Zurich. Thank you. On that note, which sectors currently offer the strongest opportunities for international companies?
It's a mixed bag. Of course, Switzerland historically has been known probably more for chocolate. Watchmaking is one of those. And I think the watchmaking piece is definitely something that you still can see in Switzerland. However, it's in different shape. When Switzerland had a decline in watchmaking, we basically had quite a large pool of talent that was left over. They were highly skilled in micro and precision manufacturing, and soon enough, medtech and med device companies from the US spotted that there is a talent pool that they could leverage for the production of their devices. Mm-hmm. I think today, like Switzerland is a quite pragmatic country, the sweet spot is really where deep tech meets real world application. It's robotics, autonomous systems, computer vision. And I mean, again, those benefit massively from the talent pool and the research that is coming out from the local universities. I probably would be a bad representative for the Swiss ecosystem if I don't name biotech and pharmaceutical businesses, as they still provide quite a big chunk of the Swiss GDP. These days, of course, we see also there quite a good convergence of biotech and AI, computational drug discovery, medical imaging, precision diagnostics. Basically, wherever you see applications, real-world applications for deep tech and AI, Switzerland is doing extremely well.
Thank you. And from your experience, what are some common mistakes companies make when entering the Swiss or broader European markets?
Well, I think overall, a lot of the entrepreneurs and founders that expand into Europe have become a lot more professional, and many of the mistakes that have been done 10 years ago are being avoided these days. But of course, given that Europe is a relatively small place, highly fragmented with dozens of countries, particularly US companies oftentimes underestimate the regulatory complexity. GDPR, just as one keyword, employment laws. Even within Switzerland, we have basically 26 different tax systems, and you better come prepared when it comes to the mindset of dealing with a completely different regulatory body than in the US, for instance. But having said that, overall, as I said, market entry, particularly from Americans, has become quite a bit more professional, and the playbooks are in place. They work, actually. There's fewer excuses these days for the avoidable mistakes, I would say.
Makes a lot of sense. And so taking a step back, when choosing a location in Europe, what are the most critical factors companies often underestimate?
I would say the factors that are oftentimes underestimated is that in Europe, proximity really counts. You want to know with whom you do business, and the guys you do business, they want to know you, meaning it's great to hop on a Zoom call, but trust and relationships in Europe are still built in the real world, meaning you go and grab a coffee, you go and meet for a drink. And I think the trust element is really something that just takes a bit more time, even in a fast-paced world. And I think this is an element where our colleagues here in the US looking at Europe oftentimes struggle a little bit. Because it's costing time. Human relationships at the end of the day require that we give time to someone, and which I find beautiful. But of course, in a business sense of way, it's an element that needs to be budgeted for, and there we definitely see a little bit of need to educate. How to tackle the European culture.
Yes, that's a really important point. Thank you. And for companies, what would be your key advice when entering the Swiss markets?
Well, building on what I just said, I think Switzerland, but also Turkey, Germany, Austria, those countries, run on a lot of trust and personal relationships, and those kind of factors don't really scale. So to do the work, well, they forced to build relationships with real persons. I think in this regard, it's also noteworthy that fluctuation and loyalty within companies is quite high, meaning if someone joins a company, the goal is not to leave the company again in 6 months and just wait for the next best offer. It's really helping a company to grow, stay with the company for several years, which is a completely different mindset than what we see here in the US. Not putting it in a negative or in a positive way. It's just a different animal that requires time again. But I think overall, once you achieved the trust and the network needed to be successful, you can actually move quite fast and build a customer base that is strong, loyal, and will provide for the future.
Yeah, totally agree. And finally, looking at your journey, what's one key lesson you learned about building across borders?
Well, I think borders. I'm a geographer by training, and borders always have played an important role. I even grew up literally on the border to Austria, so even as a kid. The border was there. The concept of a border, of course, as a 5-year-old, I had no idea what the border actually is. And even today, I think the border is something that can be managed. It's a solvable problem. But again, picking up on the trust element, I think the real hard work with that work across borders is to build trust with people that operate differently than we do. I'm Swiss. I have a different attitude than most Americans, but I am forced to understand the way Americans do business in order to gain their trust. And I think this is the real key issue. We have a lot of technology helping us with understanding the data points, understanding the businesses, but yet at the end of the day, it's still humans that do business. And given all the AI that's helping us, at the end of the day, humans decide. And to build relationship with those humans, I think is certainly one of the key learnings that I learned over the past 15 or 20 years in my professional career. And then, of course, the other one is excellence. Quality is appreciated, no matter if it's here in Washington, D.C., in New York City, in Izmir, in Istanbul, or in Moscow, or in Berlin. A great product doesn't need a passport. Buyers at the top of the market care about the quality, and they don't necessarily care so much about where you're from. So you better show up with something great, with something that has quality, that actually, can survive the tests of a market.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Lukas, for sharing these valuable insights. And it was a real pleasure having you with us. Hope to see you.
Thank you so much, Elif. It's been a pleasure, doing this interview with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.